freaking grind to get to the freaking max level, even when I got into the game, was still fucking retarded. I was stuck at level 29 for like forever.
Okay, just saying, not getting into politics here, but just saying, if someone gets elected this year,
If someone gets elected, we're not even sure we're gonna.
he's 42.
I'm 30.
Fuck.
Exhibit A. I was 28% more afraid of minorities. And by minorities, I of course mean white people.
Oh wow, we're not bringing race into this.
It's literally the name of the game, Jordan.
It wouldn't be entertaining if I just shut up, okay? Hey, welcome to Skull Hunters! And then the mic drops, fire's blowing up, explosions are happening, the intro kicks in. Everybody dance now! And then nothing happens. It's just us doing this. We're rusty. We're rusty as but we're back! We're back. Season fuck not. New show, new everything, same channel, same place. Releases every other Monday because that's our schedule.
Technically still a podcast. Okay, I didn't want us to, be worried about this episode after episode. Every time we accidentally say it's a podcast, it's still available on the podcast channels. It's still very much part of the DNA of the show. It's like a tree, right? You got your inner rings and you got your outer rings. It's still the inner ring that we can't rip out because that would be terrible. And that would erode the tree. So if we accidentally call it podcast, we're just going to keep on going with it because there's definitely still a podcast, among other things. But one of the things that I consider myself reasonably good at is observing what something is, even if it doesn't realize it is what it is. I could tell it's a show. I can tell we're every season we bring more visuals into it, and the way we present content is we want that audio visual experience. And so I said, well, all podcasts are basically shows anyways. Like that is the most fundamental thing of all, is that whether you call yourself a podcast or a theater or a movie, or even watching sports, right? Live sports, it's still a show. So anytime you're watching other people do stuff, it's a show.
Only thing we did is we're not hiding behind the words podcast anymore. Like it's a show. And with the show, there are going to be segments. There's going to be so much more. So we're going to do another, just a heads up in the future. We're going to do more AI stuff. That's visual. You can't really listen and understand it on the podcast. And we suck at explaining it. Could do better. We're not gonna. So, and then there's also, we're going to do a Temu review where I give the team $20 to spend on Temu. We wait until it all comes in. And then we all open it up and review the products on this show. And we're going to do segments, stuff like that. Whenever we have guests on, they'll even be able to participate in it. Now, grant you, our guest list is down to 0 because we're just getting back on, just getting started, just getting back into it. The fact we still get viewers, thank you. But with that, it's been a minute. It might not feel like it, but it's been a minute. We're all rusty as hell. Plus, I spent the last godforsaken hours gaming with Charles because today is somehow his birthday. Woo! He's 42.
I'm 30.
Fuck.
You are in your 30s, bro. Welcome to 30s.
I'll be
Also,
there.
off topic. Why is my thing not lighting up whenever I talk, but yours is?
Yours is lighting up on my screen.
Okay.
Also,
it just started lighting up freaking now. I don't know why the hell it's not. Wasn't doing it for a second.
okay. For the audience, we switched platforms. We are using Zoom to actually do the podcasting, and before we're using Discord. Shocking. I know. But yeah, so we're still figuring out the technical difficulties, and we will have multiple of them. I guarantee I'm going to lose footage. Gonna have bad audio like the last 2 episodes.
That's why I wanted us to start using Zoom, is because Zoom, as far as like audio video quality, it's not great, but I've never lost a file with Zoom. I've never lost audio with Zoom. It's always been one platform that I can actually record with confidence on. I used to do recordings on Riverside with various clients, and there was always problems. There was always like firewalls that people had because their IT department was a little bit too protective. Oh, I don't know, they're just guarding government secrets. So what are we going to do? Riverside only really works for people who are like kind of like us, where it's the same group over and over again, and we have all our stuff ironed out. But it burnt me once too many times, so Riverside is part of my gradually extending boycott list.
Your list is just boop, boop. It's like whenever you go to the
It's that
airport, you have to
comical
put in your
wallet that
age.
just
It's-
I'm just afraid that one of these days Joseph's gonna boycott freaking Taco Bell, and I'm gonna feel bad for that too.
Dude,
So far,
when that
Taco Bell's in my good
happens-
books. I've been alright with Taco Bell so far. Yeah, I'm actually pretty chill with Taco Bell.
Have you had the Cheez-It quesadilla, or what is it
Cheesy
called,
gordita
Charles?
crunch.
Yeah,
Something
except
like
the
that.
Yeah, I
Cheez-It.
had the cheesy gordita crunch. It was all right. For me, like when it comes to cheese, is that if it's too much like melted cheese and I start to taste it, then it loses me. We had I remember a few episodes last season. I went on a whole stuffed crust bit. Well, Jen and I had Pizza Hut in the States, which is not part of the segment. I'm just saying it. And I had stuffed crust pizza for the first time in a while, and man, that is a lot of cheese.
Mhm.
And I start to like almost dread biting into it, because once I taste that cheese, it kind of like messes up the rest of my palate. So the cheesy gordita crunch, not quite my favorite, but like the basic tacos that you can get there, honestly, Taco Bell still offers pretty good bang for your buck.
We also have a
So
crunch
consider me a
wrap where we
fan.
just take it, well, instead of the taco shell that we normally use, we put one of those giant Cheez-Its in the thing. We just wrap the quesadilla and stuff all around it and put it on the grill and stuff.
I will say, for a man who doesn't eat fast food really at all, and I'm still fat, a man who really doesn't eat much fast food, I had it and I was like, you know what? I would eat this again. Taco Bell, I don't usually say. I'm like, hey, the tacos are great, but they're cheap, whatever. You know, for $5 you can get a couple of soft shell tacos. Perfect for those nights that you're just like, it's late, I want to get something. But the Cheez-Its? You put Cheez-Its in Taco Bell? I came multiple times on the.
So let's cover because I ain't getting into melted cheese and all that stuff. I've said my piece. I've had my fill. There we go. Did it again. So what I want us to hear about is what have been kind of like the big things, the big theme that everyone's summer has entailed. For me, it's not the most like exciting thing to talk about unless you've followed my story very closely and understand how exciting this is for me. But I have a new computer after 15 years of making do with whatever I managed to get my hands on. My new computer has 64 gigabytes of RAM, and that's the least impressive thing about it. So right now, the fact that I am recording the YouTube video, got Zoom recording my Audacity, also recording on OBS, and the only thing breaking a sweat is me. Oh my God, I'm just so happy, and I can't wait to share some of this stuff that we've got in store when we do the next AI episode. But we're at the point now where I'm able to locally render video and locally render images.
Guys, if you haven't seen the last AI podcast, pause this, go back to like the podcast, go to like 53 minutes into it, and then find out what we create with the AI stuff, and then imagine us having the option to turn it into video.
Well, yeah, once movement is involved, things are gonna be dark.
That's what went right through my head. I went, oh no.
Like me.
But I think it will be cool because now you actually have a computer that runs with it. So, do you have the specs? Because some people are nerds like me. Do you have the specs of everything in your computer that you could just run through a list and like just tell us what you have in your computer in case someone actually was like, I need a new computer, and they do exactly what you do?
Let's see here. So 13th gen Intel Core i9 13900K, 32 CPUs, 3.4 gigahertz. Like I said, 64 gigabytes of RAM. It is the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 Super. Yeah, so 12,000 megabytes of video RAM, and not a single thing on here is Asus. I just want to make that very clear.
Yep.
Those are all the main ones that I can read out. But are there any other specs that are really important for all us tech nerds?
Um, so biggest thing is you kind of already laid it down, because when I sit there and people ask me about what I have in mind, what I will usually do is tell them flat out everything. So I have a Ryzen, because I just built my computer this year as well, and I have a Ryzen 9 7900X, a NVIDIA RTX 4070 Ti Super, so a
I think we
little
got this.
better than yours.
Oh, slightly. Okay, pretty
Yeah,
close
it's a
though.
TI Super. Yours is a Super. I didn't do it to compete at all. I bought mine before you did yours. I want to put that out there. But I also do a lot of video editing with massive files and everything else. I just wanted to make sure whatever I got, I didn't need to upgrade in 5 years. I'm running two channels of DDR5. I think it's like DDR5 600 megahertz, 30, 32 gig sticks, so 64. And the storage, I'm just running a simple, I think it's like a WD Black. And then besides that, it's just audio equipment, Intel stuff. And the motherboard, I don't remember. I think my motherboard is B6, a B650EF Wi-Fi board. It came with a bundle with Microsoft, but computer, so quick, has no problems except one. And it has an orange light that pops up randomly and is caused by the RAM, but
I
it's an internal thing, so it's my problem to fix. It's not the device itself. It's just I fucked something up when I was setting it up, but it hasn't happened since. So it might not ever happen again. But yeah, so tech nerds, there you go. There's some specs. What else about your summer?
I love you guys, but that was basically it. Honestly, just trying to get that
Okay.
computer up and running. Yeah, that was just been like the main thing that's held me back for a long time. So actually, I guess I can say I wasn't sure whether or not I felt the need or compelled to bring this up, but I also wanted to evolve my media business. So I worked with a lot of clients over the years. I had a great time working alongside some former Marines at Knucklehead Media, which unfortunately we're not doing any work any longer. Um, there's some other media agencies that I'm not going to say out loud because the things that I say on this show are best left not revealed to everyone that I'm associated with. But it occurred to me that it's time for me to also start stepping up a little bit, be a little bit less of just the individual freelancer and start moving towards more of like an agency. So I have Conjured.media is my new media agency. And it's essentially just like, it is a continuation and evolution of what I've been doing. But I realized I just got to that point where I've seen so many people take a stab at it. Oftentimes, a lot of these people don't have the experience that I had, but I think each person has different thresholds for how much do you need to see firsthand before you're ready to do it,
Hmm.
right? And maybe the skill is ahead of the readiness, but that readiness I think is a really important factor. And I also understand that philosophically speaking, you're never truly, truly ready for something. You're never truly ready to be a parent, or you're never truly ready to merge into traffic. Call back to that. What was the name of Onward? One of the Pixar films I really like. But you're ready enough to know that you're not ready, and to still
Hmm.
just say, "All right, you know what? Enough is enough. I got to do it." And then the last thing that'll be for me is that I'm announcing slash holding myself accountable that my novel is going to be released June 2025. So we have under a year for this thing to be done, and I'm pretty much at it, not quite every day, but pretty much every day of the week, going chapter by chapter, revising, making this thing be as good as it can be. And I released a sample. So this is about like the fifth chapter of the book. It's a much longer chapter than a lot of the other ones because it's almost like a self-contained adventure. And it's the chapter that I looked back and went, this one really embodies the spirit of the book. This is the one that I think reflects everything that I want the story to be. So I'm happy to say that anybody who's listening to this and wants to read that sample, you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to share it and collect the feedback for it. And yeah, probably at some point this season I will read it. I don't know how long it's going to take to read, though. That's the only thing. Is it's a lot of pages, so I don't know if this is going to end up being like a whole episode's reading, or maybe like a bonus episode or something like that. But initially, despite my passion for sound, because I was so fixated on just writing the book, doing the audio book was something that I didn't really like think about as much. But as I get closer to finishing the book and thinking about how much the audiobook can really bring to the table, I am excited to put that together, with all the sound effects and the ambiance. So I've reached the end of this video, and you can see how let's take a second to just look at my algorithm here. So they're calling Ryan Reynolds a bitch, which I don't agree with. He's very talented, and I think he's great in the roles that he's in. Hell's Kitchen, The Boys is an awful show I don't agree with. The Ghost of Yotei, I don't know anything about that. The Joker movie is a bitch. Asmongold. Meet the Medic, which is a video that I've seen like a dozen times, and the algorithm has said, you're going to like it again if you just watch it.
I mean, not wrong.
Not wrong. And then
if you already watched it multiple times, it's like, hey.
Why are fighting games so gay? I never really thought of fighting games as gay, so I'll have to take the algorithm up on that.
Your algorithm
real quick,
crazy. Yeah.
Real quick, for people wondering what is going on with the video footage, this is our way of being a little bit more algorithm friendly, because I know a lot of content on there needs like distraction content, so people will stick while they're listening to the spoken content. And also, credit to the birthday boy, but Charles is just a machine when it comes to releasing content. I mean, the amount of video footage that you've produced, Charles, is really impressive. So I think it's a perfect marriage. It is exactly the right fit. That, hey, we're going to start just streaming video content while we do our thing, and Charles has eons worth of that. So why not go ahead and start streaming some of that? So that's been me. Jordan, how are things with you and your beeswax?
I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. So this summer has just been a terms of ups and downs, not just with the business, but with my personal life, and then also content creation. Because as we all know, one thing I love doing is content creation. I absolutely love it. It's my soul, it's my passion. It's what I wake up in the morning to do. This summer has been the absolute worst experience I've had at the making content, because I worked 15 weeks straight. No days off, no break days, 12-hour shifts, 36-hour shifts. I had to work it 15 weeks straight. It was the worst thing to happen just because of how busy I got. For those of you who may not know, I run a roadside business. That roadside business is made just to sit there and help people out on the side of the road, to get you from on the road, back on the road, etc. So we are on the highways, we're in parking lots, we're in your garage. Wherever you're needed or wherever we're needed, we're there. So with that, people need help 24/7. I don't personally work 24/7, but unfortunately the job made me work over 24 hours multiple times. That means I didn't get time to edit my content. And on a real note, depression's a bitch, because then when you wake up in the morning, you go, oh, you look on YouTube and you're seeing your best friend posting videos every day. You're like, that's awesome. And then you go watching your other buddies' videos that they're posting every week consistently. You're like, then you watch it. One guy who posts
you're just getting
once
you're getting a little like you could just, I guess I'll just get off on it.
Just like, it becomes such a weird point where you're like, you're happy for the people who are actually posting and doing this stuff, but then you're just like, I have posted one video this year and I haven't posted anything else. And the worst part is, my audience is still there. Like, they're still there. They're still waiting. I hear from them pretty frequently. The fact that they're still there waiting for a piece of content is great. Downside is, didn't get to work on it. So that part of the summer sucked. But on the upside of it, for the company's doing great, better than it has before. We expanded in more territories. We got more employees. We have more contracts. It could not be better. Company going great. YouTube going in the trash.
Suffering for it.
Yeah, unfortunately. But we're starting to get to that point. Thankfully, I'm finally able to start putting more time into YouTube. I was actually editing videos yesterday So I was actually getting to edit a bit. It was fun. It was nice and relaxing. And then I realized in the first draft of my editing, I fucked up multiple times. So I'm writing it all down so I can voice over it and talk about my fuck ups, and then I can move on because I'm not going back and editing an edit part already. Not worth it. So I just make a whole new thing for it. Summer's been a lot. Summer has just been work on top of hard work on top of no days off on top of barely having time. Wednesdays are the only days that we really get to hang out, and even there's Wednesdays I had to cancel, and there have been Sundays that even though we haven't been doing the podcast, we meet up, we talk about the podcast, or we just shoot the breeze. Because all in all, we're friends outside of what we do here. We're friends, and we love to entertain each other and talk to each other and make 9/11 jokes on every other day but 9/11. I was good. I promise you I was. I was good until midnight. And then it went off the rails pretty bad.
It's mostly my fault, but whenever you mention 9/11 jokes, I'm pretty sure he's calling me out, which I don't blame you for.
I don't think I am. I just think that me and Charles were playing today because it's his birthday. I promised him I'll play with him. And I made a comment that we were the planes and they were our towers. It
Well,
was,
Beckett, it's only him.
That sounds like you lost.
yeah, we died.
Okay. And just make sure I understood the metaphor.
Yeah, it was so I didn't make those jokes on 9/11. Once again, they're all jokes. If you're offended, shut the fuck up. No one cares. So with that, that's kind of just been the summer. There's been lots of ups, lots of downs. Honestly, when you look at the big picture of things, it's all ups. It just has its downs. But all in all though, I'm here. Trust me, I'm loud and I'm proud. But that's all. I feel weird. I feel so weird about doing this podcast show. Fuck. I'm working on it, people.
Just move on. If you call it a podcast, just move on. Because I'm gonna feel like a piece of shit every time you're like, oh fuck, because I moved us in this direction. So
no, don't even. I do it for myself. I do it for my needs. It's a kink. No, it's not a kink. I don't have kinks. I'm horny. Charles, how was your summer?
Charles, before Charles jumps in, because you said something that's really interesting that I wanted to touch on for a second here, which is like when you have all ups, but then there are also downs. Mm-hmm. So narratively speaking, and by the way, I have no idea if this is going to be visible, but the starting point, and this is like kind of a movie making thing. The starting point always has like a rising action, mm-hmm. and then you get to the low point, which is like the second act, and that's when things hit their lowest point. And then the rising action or the climax at the third part is when the problems are solved, right? Mm-hmm. And this is basically how life goes. So you build up towards something, you hit a low point, and you use that low point to work your way up through it and become even better. And what happens to a lot of people is they get here and they think it's a sign to give up, and sometimes it is. Not everybody makes it through to the third act, but everyone who does ends up in a new higher high, and then you go on your new line, and then you end up back here again, and you repeat the cycle. So you gradually kind of build a higher foundation, build a better foundation. Your bedrock starts to support higher layers of materials. Use whatever metaphor you want, but it's just something that I wanted to touch on real quick because you mentioned it. So sorry about that, Charles, but I just want to get it out of my system before I forget.
You're fine. My summer was all right, pretty much. And I had the chance to, I freaking started building my PlayStation 3 video game collection and my PS2 one a bit more because one of these days I want to get a PS2 and a PS3 so I can actually play them, especially PS2 because I miss it when I had a PS2 when I was younger.
The good old simple days.
And me and my fiance freaking got one of the more expensive Pokemon games, but we got them a hell of a lot cheaper than we normally would have gotten them for because we got them at a retro store. And
Pokemon Coliseum XD, Gale of Darkness on the GameCube.
I wish. Pokemon Black and White.
My coworker.
Oh wow, we're not bringing racing to this.
It's literally the name of the game, Jordan.
It wouldn't be entertaining if I just shut up, okay? You brought up Black and White, and I'm like, Now we bringing up color.
I've been playing through Pokemon. I think it's Black, and after I started playing through White, but I had to sell it, so I wasn't able to finish it. And it's steadily and it's moved up to my third favorite all-time favorite Pokemon game, next to the two that are on my list.
I'm just relieved that it was the white one that you sold.
But that's pretty. My summer's been all right, and besides working at Taco Bell, which has been so
Oh, you work at Taco Bell. Oh, that's why you're worried about the Taco Bell boycott.
yeah.
I was
Okay,
wondering at
that
first. I was
needs
like,
some context. That
Just
needs
like I
some
also
context.
unintentionally got just like I also unintentionally got an Asus laptop without realizing it until it was too late.
Okay, so Joseph's gonna go on a rant about that in a future episode. But so Charles went out. I think we might have talked about this before. If we didn't,
we
bear
didn't
with
talk
me.
about it
We
on
didn't.
the show
Okay.
yet.
So this is what happened. Charles had to get a new laptop because his just shit the bed. So he got a new one. Well, while all this was going on, Joseph's been dealing with this outcome of this company that he's been boycotting, sending threatening letters, almost threatening letters, just to get them to fix it and make it right. And they still have yet to do so. Last I've heard, they still have yet to
No,
do so.
I mean, obviously, I'll get into it more. And I mean, there are many things that you can threaten somebody with. I threatened them with public discourse. I said, I'm going to become adversarial. I'm going to tell other people not to support you or do business with you. So, you can threaten someone with a good time, right? There's lots of things that you can threaten someone with.
All this was going on. And then Charles goes, guys, I just got my new laptop. It's going great. It's doing all this. And then he shows us a picture. And then the fucking front of it is the same company.
Do you guys know
We've been
that
boycotting.
I don't know if you guys watched Breaking Bad, but everybody who's a Breaking Bad fan, that scene where Walt is like hiding behind the floorboards. He's like, "Where's the money, Skyler?" This guy says, "I gave it to Ted," and then he just breaks into maniacal laughter because he's just like lost his last brain cell of sanity. Yeah, that was me. I laughed that whole day. I just couldn't believe the timing on it, and fuck me for pushing the whole boycott thing, right? Like, yeah, just at a certain point, you got to realize you can't compel other people to do what you want them to do. I just, in everyone's best interest, after the experience I had, I do not recommend other people go through that experience.
I was going to say, and here's the funny part of it. Less than like 2 weeks later, Charles started having laptop problems.
Oh, did he?
He was starting to have some, it's fixed now, but he was
Oh,
starting
it's
to have
fixed.
problems with his laptop. Now, Charles, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say in my defense, like I said, I freaking it was literally like I didn't realize until it was too late, and like I would have taken it back, and if Joseph really wanted me to, I would have taken it back to Venison and gotten a different one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's like it wouldn't feel right to make you do that because at the end of the day, it still might be the right product for you. But I know I was worried. I was definitely worried that thing was going to put you through the same thing I went through. But all of this and more when we do the Ace of Screwjob.
Well, other than the battery dying way too quick if I don't keep it on the charger, this thing's pretty much really not having had any issues.
Part of
Oh,
me wants
good.
there to be issues. I'm not gonna lie.
To be continued. And then that brings into the Taco Bell. Before we started recording, we started talking about the Cheez It stuff at Taco Bell, and then we started going through all that. And then that's when Charles was like, "Oh, well, hopefully you don't boycott Taco Bell
Oh, see,
soon."
I see. I thought that was on the episode. I lost track of the timeline there. So now
It
I
was
understand why you
slightly
had to do the
before it. That's why I
context.
just wanted to make sure that was stated that
I might take that or opening recording, just put like anything that we do before we start at the end as like bonus content. Producer hat on, producer hat off.
okay, okay, that's chilling. Okay,
And
but yeah, go
one
ahead,
other
go ahead.
thing, one other thing. But before while we were away on vacation, I also got my freaking actual first airsoft gun.
Ooh.
And yes, it is airsoft for anybody who's complaining because of
Yes, orange tips usually means it's an airsoft. For those of you who don't know, don't bring it into a school, no matter what.
The airsoft tip will make us more safe on YouTube, but it'll actually make us lose respect on Rumble because they're more like gun nappy there. I'm just saying.
That
But
is true.
I do have a barrel attachment for this thing to make it look more realistic if I wanted to.
Okay, I know he's going to be at a Friday night at Chuck E. Cheese.
This is
So it's actually funny because I definitely think I told this on the story, but you just reminded me about it. I don't know what the fuck sentence I just said. I told you on a story. I said this before on the podcast previously when it was a podcast.
Still a podcast, for God's sakes.
Still a podcast. It's
Just
entertaining. So I'm pretty sure I told this, but literally same day, my bank should have stopped me because it all went through the same credit card. Same day, I went and picked up pizza, breakfast pizza, first thing in the morning. Then I went to Bass Pro and bought a gun. Then I spent $2,000 on a computer and then got Chipotle. Someone should stop me. Someone should have went, hey, maybe not this guy.
Did you get a 1911?
I got a Glock G7.
I would have made the joke, but I don't want to get canceled like you feeling like the risk by saying it's
Mm.
freaking 911.
Here, here's the thing is it's not even just worried about being canceled. It's truly the things that I say that it could be get me canceled are jokes. Do I mean them? No. Do I think they're funny? Yes. If I think they're funny, there's a good 60, 70% of people that also think they are fucking funny. The 30% of people are not going to think it's funny, but only 5% of the people are going to be like, oh my God, hey, dude, just say that. And those 7 people, I love you. That's all I got. Like, I'm here to entertain and be a funny person. You want to know the real me? I help people all day long and I love doing it. You want to know who I am on the internet? I'm an entertainer that loves to entertain people. Shut the fuck up and enjoy. That's all I love to do. I love to entertain people. Even if that means I have to crash a plane. Hey, is January 6th happening again? Okay, just saying, not getting into politics here, but just saying, if someone gets elected this year,
if someone gets elected, we're not even sure we're gonna have an elected official.
well, one's getting
God.
shot at all day, and the other one just can't shut up. So I'm like, if we have one, we
Okay.
might just go into a voting system. Let's be honest. We might just be like, who wants to end the war? Okay, 51% said no. 51? What? Zuckerberg's been fucking us.
See, I always thought it would be best if the candidates just got into a boxing ring and each round was for a different policy issue. All right, for the next round, we'll be fighting over gun rights. And Trump, he's swinging out of the gates. He's knocked her out. Okay, he's thrown the gloves down. He is leaving the arena.
He's on his private jet flying to Bahamas. Here's the thing. I think there should be like an Olympics or something like that for becoming president. Not sitting there going, my people, I'll make you president. I'll be your president. And I'll love the president. Vote for me, 2028. It shouldn't be like that. It should be, hey, I'm going to go jump that fucking pole over there. It's going to be epic. We're going to post that shit on TikTok. You're going to show them athletic and you're going to show them quick thinking. Go through a gun course. Go through survivalist training. Do all this stuff. Do Survivor. Do Survivor. Go on fucking Survivor. Put everyone who's running for president on Survivor and make that shit happen. Okay? Then I'll be like, voting. Like, because then I know they will be able to survive.
Do you know how quickly that would end? Because freaking you'd have a bunch of old fossils freaking doing that shit. Freaking because nobody that's under the age of freaking 40 ever goes for the presidency.
There
And
are.
then maybe it will get people to stop going.
Here's the thing. Although there are a number of flaws in that idea, it actually does have some merit to it, which is a lot of the people who would probably make good presidents will never have a shot at it because they have to go through all of this, schmoozing and have to climb their way up the ladder, or they have to be, loaded like Trump and just fund his own campaign. So to actually have like a survivor or some kind of gauntlet where anybody could compete in it and actually like earn some credibility with the people, at the end of the day, America is an entertaining country. U.S. politics, honestly, guys, this has been the best season of U.S. politics yet. If there's any show where the writers have outdone it every season, it's U.S. politics. Trump went back to Pennsylvania where he was shot at to continue the rally, to unpause from the save point. He gets on stage and he goes, "As I was saying," which, I mean, to think that like he was just shot at, not too long ago, and he goes right back into it and he shows the chart that basically saved his life. Oh my God, what a season of U.S. politics. And
it's been a good one.
I was in America. I was in America. I mean, here's the thing though, is like I was in Orlando, Florida. I was in like a touristy part of it. So I don't feel like I had like the truly authentic American experience. Like, if I came to visit you guys, or if I visit some of my other clients in like Wisconsin or Texas or whatever like that. But none of this, I was in America for a week.
That works. I was going to ask you where were you January 6th, but we already got that answer. So, you were in America. You said on not the last episode we did, but the episode before that, you said that you were going to meet up with a couple of buddies when you were down in Florida.
That couldn't pan out, unfortunately. We were hoping to do it, but because of the hurricane issues, that everyone was more concerned with their safety and well-being. So unfortunately, that didn't pan out. It sucked because it was like such a rare opportunity, but having been on that trip, it inspired me to want to, save up money to be able to do that trip again in the future. Guys, as a Canadian, I never much like our country, and the reason why I don't like Canada is because I pay too much here, and as an independent business person and freelancer, I feel suppressed by my country. But America, would I consider living here more? I don't know. This is just my experience having spent a week in Orlando, Florida, and I've broken this down into exhibits. So first we have Exhibit A. I was 28% more afraid of minorities. And by minorities, I of course mean white people. Exhibit B. Some of these are longer than others. Exhibit B. America made me quit smoking. So
Hey!
I'm a weed user. I am still a user of weed, although at this point I only use oils, which is something that I can just ingest. About a year ago, when I had my last like kind of bad cold, it wasn't quite COVID, but it was close. I woke up in the middle of the night because I couldn't breathe. My airways had gone completely clogged up, and lying flat is a way for all that like fluids to kind of build up. So it's scary stuff to wake up in the middle of the night and be like. Also, because my house has had to intervene a couple of times, I only do 3 wheezes for an impression. Any longer than that, I'm actually wheezing. So just keep that in mind, everybody.
Okay.
So then I transitioned from using a pipe and smoking to using a vaporizer. And then so we're in the hotel and it's Monday evening. And I wake up and I start like noticing that I can't breathe again. And some of that is just like the nervousness of just like, hey, we're in a new place, a place with a lot more firearms. So, there was some concern there. And it's because it's one of those like hotel touristy areas. There's a lot of amenities that they expect people to want, like a 7-Eleven. So it takes me like a 20-minute walk to get to a 7-Eleven to get some Robitussin to help like deflem and declog the airways. By like 1 a.m., I'm like sitting up, like still kind of like, scared to breathe, scared to go back to sleep. And we have a full day planned, technically that same day, but theoretically tomorrow. I'm thinking like, I do not want to go to an American hospital. I am so terrified of the American healthcare system.
Understandable.
So I think it's been about 3 weeks, not quite a month, but pretty close since I've ingested any combusted air. And honestly, it was I don't want to say it was easier than I thought, but there are once certain lines are crossed, the temptations go away. So the temptation to smoke went away. Weed edibles, they have their strengths and weaknesses too. Obviously, it's a lot safer, it's a lot healthier, but activation time is anywhere between 1 hour to no, I'm just kidding. No, but it took me about 3 hours for like weed oil to activate sometimes, just because like I gotta get up at like 5 a.m. so I can be high for my 9 a.m. writing session. Kind of shitty. So Exhibit C, the souvenirs that I got. So first one is a Buzz Lightyear penny. So I'm just holding it up for the camera. And the reason why this is significant is because I'm really not much of a Disney stan, but I was a pretty big Toy Story fan growing up. And when we went to Disney World, my family and I must have been in like the 4th or 5th grade. So we're talking at least like 20 years since I was in Florida. And there was this game there. It was like an on rails ride, like not quite a roller coaster, but you are on like a thing that goes on a track. So it's just, there's no like loop to loops or anything like that. But they give you a laser gun and you have to shoot targets, right? So I was thinking like, man, I hope they still have that game there. Like, oh my God, they still have the Buzz Lightyear thing. So I got the penny to commemorate my time on that. And then there's also all throughout the park, all throughout Magic Kingdom and all the other parks, there's those like hidden cameras where you don't know exactly where the photo is being taken. So it catches you in these like, sincere or candid moments. And so here's me completely focused on the gameplay. Now, you guys, I'm fine with you guys seeing Jen's face, but I'm going to blur her out because, if her friends find out that she's dating a Trump supporter, she's going to lose those friends. So I'm going to have to blur her face. And this is the part where I realize that I do not smile very much at all on vacations. For instance, here's me on my way to Thunder Mountain.
Okay. I just want to say this real fast. For one, this is actually the first time I'm seeing Jen. Beautiful lady.
Thank you.
Want to make sure that compliment is stated.
Appreciate it.
Two,
hard work pays off.
Two, you look like you just murdered a family in that last one.
I don't know who that guy behind us is, by the way, because these are 3-person rides, and so people are kind of like, sometimes you have to be sorted with a stranger. He looks like someone I used to know in college, but I highly doubt it's him. We would have said something. So I'm going to blur his face out.
No. It would be funny if you just keep it in like he's just someone you know.
It would be funny, but I ain't about that life.
I understand.
And then here's me where I thought I was smiling because the photographer said smile, and I thought I smiled.
What a sun's in your eyes.
Yeah, but it was in her eyes too, so I can't go with that. So just continuing on with Exhibit C. My second souvenir is a Dunkin' Donuts box. Personally, I think this was a little much for a powdered donut, but I'll take it. And then my third and potentially my proudest souvenir is a receipt from Walgreens for $69.69. So without trying, we just picked a bunch of stuff from Walgreens, and then
What?
Is the price really $69.69? I gotta get a photo of this. So those are my souvenirs from America.
Can we get a quick rundown of everything you're doing at Walgreens?
Yeah, I can do that actually. Yeah, as long as you guys don't mind. I mean,
Yeah.
this is like an hour 20 piece of content. So, and actually, I just wanted to say real quick because I forgot to make this as another exhibit. But American money is way more satisfying to spend than Canadian money. Partially because we're actually getting something for the money, but also because like I'm not used to paying with like $1 bills, but it's really satisfying to walk into a Dollar Tree. And by the way, there was no Dollar General nearby, or I would have gone to the Dollar General.
Damn.
But to go into the Dollar Tree knowing that I have a wad of like 6 $1 bills and like, this is my playground. I can just like, it makes you feel better about the money because there's the material value between the $1 bills is as the $5 bills as the $10 bills. It's all the same material. So I feel like even a single dollar is respected a lot more in the States. I don't like the loonies and toonies we have here in Canada. Like I'm not going to walk around with like $10, $20 worth of change. That starts to weigh me down. So That's that. So Walgreens, what do we get? It's a couple of microwavable dinners because we couldn't eat at restaurants the entire time. So 2 chicken pot pies, meatloaf, and a Benihana yakisoba steak. For those of you who watch Mad Men, every time I hear Benihana, I go David Ogilvy in my head. If you're a Mad Men fan, you'll get it. Utz Ripple chips, which by the way, mini review on Utz, wasn't a fan, not enough flavor. That's female stuff. I'm not going to read that out loud. A couple of deli sandwiches were atrocious because the bread got all soggy by the next day. So do not recommend buying prepackaged sandwiches from there. Buy the components yourself and put it together. Pistachio kernels, a bucket cap because I forgot my hat at my parents' house, and Coca-Cola, the Oreo flavored Coca-Cola. Now, I'm pretty like confident in my palate. I drank that and I could not tell the difference between that and a vanilla Coke.
Bro. Okay. I gotta give it the Coke on this one. Cause dude, I took a sip of that and I went, damn. It tastes like an Oreo and a Coke.
All right.
It actually tasted like what you wanted. But you have to remember, I drink nothing but sparkling waters all day long. So my palate is literally as clean as it can get because I drink like a bitch. So I just drink sparkling water and pumpkin spice lattes. That's all I drink. I wish. That's all I drink. So, but when I had that, especially when it's cold, and then when it's warm, it has 2 totally different flavors. But I liked it. In a can is what you have to do. If you get the bottle, nah. I had it in the bottle on the ride home from Springfield. Bro, it was not the same. Like little mini cans.
All right. I will take you up on that. I'll do if I can get my hands on a vanilla Coke and an Oreo Coke at the same time. I'll do a taste test, but because I did have it from the bottle, so yeah, I think I think that wasn't the optimal drinking experience. So Exhibit D, Disney World, aka D's Nuts World. Point number 1, we saw 2 Ariels, both were white. It was surprisingly not Prague. So I was worried that when we go to Disney World, everyone was going to have their pronouns on their badges and they're going to ask us what our pronouns were. Wasn't any of that. Shout out to Governor Ron DeSantis. I'm sure he held them accountable for that. And according to my girlfriend, Universal Studios is better. So I have this rule on a vacation. I have to have at least one day where I can just relax. So we were like doing going to a lot of different places every other day. So by Friday, I'm like, I can't move between all of the walking and the panic attacks. So I'm just going to relax for the day. And she went to Universal. And apparently Disney World, especially Magic Kingdom, obviously is a little bit more geared towards families and the youngsters. Universal expects more adults to be going, or like at least teenagers. I mean, kids are welcome there too, obviously. But apparently Universal Studios is actually like way more legit than it's given credit for. Exhibit E, the following things almost killed me. 1, Pop-Tarts. So you guys already know this story. I told it while we were playing Fortnite, but for those of you at home, so I bought Pop-Tarts. It says on the box they were proudly baked in America, and I followed the instructions to a T. I toasted them, and then a corner of one of the tarts got stuck on my windpipe, and I was having a severe wheezing attack and almost choked. So for that reason, I have regrettably added Pop-Tarts to my boycott list. Number 2, water. So I realized something, and I know I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but I have this comedy philosophy called the core contradiction. And basically everyone has one part of their personality that completely defies another part of their personality to the point where you would think that person was a character in a sketch because it's so like incongruous. So a couple of examples. One of Jen's friends is a massage therapist, but the longer he's been at that job, and he's been at the job for quite a while, the more his back hurts. So it got to a point where he'd be massaging clients going, oh, my back. So imagine a massage therapist who sounds like he needs a massage. My tax preparer is normally a travel agent. who's also very, very stressed out. So just imagine someone who sounds like she needs a vacation more than the people that she's providing the vacation for. I realize my core contradiction, which is I love water. I love swimming. It is my all-time favorite physical activity. I loved it ever since I was a kid, but I am hydrophobic. So I'm 5'9". As soon as I get to like 5 feet, I'm like, so I wade my way back to, if I get to like 4 feet or below, I'm a mermaid down there, man. I swim quite well, but as soon as it's like up to my neck, the panic sets in. We were at a water park, and this one called Tiki Bay, Volcano Bay, which was phenomenal. It had 2 rivers. One is the usual lazy river where you're just on like the I don't know, the lifesaver, whatever the hell those things are called, and that one was only every 3 feet. So I actually just like swam in the river because that's what I preferred doing. Then there's another one that's more of like a wavy river, and for some reason, which is totally beyond me, one of the waves are all supposed to push people one direction, but the wave actually came the opposite direction, and I inhaled an entire a bucket full of water, and I started drowning over the water line. So for 34 years old, and that was the first time a lifeguard had to intervene and actually like get me out of the water. So water almost killed me. And then there was Hurricane Helene. So I'm going to switch off the jokey mode for a second because this is actually really unfortunate, but I think it was Wednesday night. We're watching TV, specifically the news, and we're bouncing between several different news stations, all of which were covering the onset of Hurricane Helene. And it was impressive knowing how often these different news channels all tell very different stories. They were all on point, right? Because when things really get serious, everyone does their job. And I remember thinking, we're either going to have to cut this vacation short, or this vacation is about to get a lot longer. And I was actually gaming out. What do we do? Like, should I let Jordan know? Should we? And then you guys were very much like west of where we were, and so like anywhere that we had to go could have taken us weeks, assuming we could even found like a bus system or like a Greyhound bus or anything to get us out of there. So yeah, I mean, for us, we had that very, very short window of concern, and compare that to just what other people had actually gone through, having their homes torn up and their lives destroyed, and in many cases lives lost. It was a pretty humbling experience. So the very least I could do was donate some money to the disaster fund. So, your government certainly should have been donating a lot more than $750, which by the way is just a loan. So if that wasn't the nail in the Harris campaign's coffin, I hope this is, because she is wicked and vile. Okay. So, verdict. Comedy back on. On a scale of 1 to 10, America gets, I feared for my life the entire time I was there. I can't wait to go back.
That's America, baby. That's America. So I will say with the hurricane thing, if whatever were to happen, if you guys are like, we can't get a flight back because of all this stuff going on, you bet ya ass I would have said, hey, if you get a bus ticket as far west as you can, I'll meet you as far east as I can. And I would have got you guys in my Toyota Prius. I would have driven you to my house. You would have stayed here for a little bit, and you could go to the Kansas City airport and shoot your ass back up north whenever you're ready. That would be the honest to God. Like, if something were to happen and that's what needed to do, oh yeah, it would have happened. I would have brought you guys here, except I would just made you guys take so many pictures with the Prius.
I was thinking
this is my Prius. You're going to live the Prius. Go ahead.
I would have said that they could have came here to Mooresville, but we were getting hit almost just about as bad as they were in Florida, and I think parts of North Carolina got destroyed too. So
yeah, and
imagine that going into your buddy's house for safety, and he's the one getting hit by the storm. Hey, I came here because I didn't know where to go. You couldn't pick another direction. You kept going this line. Serious note, though. God damn, I feel so bad for those people.
I do too. Apparently, this was the worst hurricane since Hurricane Kanye. No, I'm sorry. I know.
Kanye West?
What was the
Katrina?
one that Kanye West?
Katrina.
Katrina. That was it. Yeah. I used Kanye to jog my memory. Yeah, Hurricane Katrina. So, and it's not even done. Apparently, as we record this, there's another one on the way. So, and because we seem to have a little bit more comfort making political points. So I'm going to make a political point, which is that how much money has Ukraine gotten from the U.S. government? How much money has Israel gotten from the U.S. government? How much money are all people who, by the way, happen to be in Trump country getting from the government? They're not even getting to keep the $750, assuming that the loan even goes through for them. So it's just atrocious. Like I can't. Just the unspeakable callousness that I've seen on display. It makes my stomach churn. So
You can also blame FEMA for spending all the money that they were supposed to have for these sort of situations on illegal immigrants. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and if people want
Okay,
to call me racist
True.
for saying that, fuck off.
no. So that is where like me and Brittany were talking. And me and her, I try to always be devil's advocate because I always want to know both sides of the story. So I always, even though I can agree with someone, I'm always like, let me defend this other person because no one's here to defend that. Let's try to sit there and see it from their perspective. And so everything going on, unfortunately, it's a mountain slide of just everything. You had us sending money over to the Ukraine. We just gave them how much money just in the last few weeks? And we couldn't give that to FEMA. We couldn't donate that to FEMA that we've done many times before. And remind you, for the people who don't know, I was a part of Hurricane Katrina. We moved to Louisiana as it was happening. So I know how it affected people. It wasn't great. Now, I'm not saying I was struck, but no, it did affect me though growing up, and I had to literally live in the area that had flooded the whole entire area as we moved in. We were driving a van, and the van was submerged in water. Water was getting in through the doors, so we can move into the house. Just shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the worst, and this is becoming the new worst. And we're back in the same situation again. Money was spent on shit that didn't need to be spent on. If we would have just had the walls up, everything else, because Trump's in office. I'm not saying the wall shouldn't have been built. I'm not saying anything else, but if we would just had the walls work the way they were going to work, we wouldn't have had the immigrants. We wouldn't have the immigrants. People wouldn't have had been pushed to spend the money on them. Keyword, they were pushed to do it just due to the fact that people were in our country that needed shelter and needed to live a life. Wouldn't have got in if things would have been done. But in the same boat, I also see it. FEMA could have still have done better. But all in all, a U.S. government shouldn't have been sending so much fucking money to places that didn't fully need it, especially when there was a chance to end the war a while ago. And then the Ukrainian government went, no, we ain't backing down this time. I get it. That's ballsy. That's tough. He's showing he's not backing down. But in the same boat, too, don't help him anymore. He literally had a chance to end it because they were like, hey, let's stop. Now, I could be getting my facts wrong because I hate the news because everyone spreads misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I remember,
You're pretty much on the money so far.
okay. So if we would have just ended it peacefully as it could have been, we wouldn't have had these problems. If we wouldn't have had these problems, we could be in a better position. But because of everything that occurred, we are still giving government to Ukraine, or we're still giving money to the Ukraine, and we're not giving it to FEMA. And now people will be able to take a $750 loan out. And if they can't pay it back, they sign away all their property, including the property that's flooded that still holds value, even though it's been destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And then guess who would own it? FEMA. So it comes back to a whole situation of FEMA needs money, but they spent it because of our government sucks. So it sucks. It's a bad situation. If you live in the United States being affected by this, hold out soon. Get insurance if you haven't gotten it already. Try to get it. Even if you have to pull the money out your ass, just get it. Easier said than done, but just get it. Get your shit protected. do what you can. I know for me, being a person that loves to help people, I hate it. I actually legitimately hate it because all I want to do is go down there and help. I can't do that because literally they're sending people, volunteers down there, and then people are showing up going, "We want to help," and then they go, "Get out of here." And I'm like, I would just waste my time. It sucks.
Yeah, you can end up
But
getting arrested just for going to help. It's almost like
yeah,
the Fed is deliberately trying to prevent them from getting help because, again, these are all people who would be voting for the party vying for office, not the party holding office. I mean, politics, especially when you have wicked people involved, can truly bring out not the worst in people, but bring out the worst people. I do want to lighten the mood just a wee bit because there was one point, no irony, no sarcasm involved. But as we were sitting there in the hurricane, the hurricane watch and just observing the news, I legitimately thought, why don't we nuke the hurricanes?
just blast it away.
We got the best hurricane defense tools. Space Force is gonna shoot the hurricanes out of the sky.
Do you want to
My
both
truck-
end
my
up
truck
looking
is
like
coming
freaking
along.
outriders?
I mean, Florida's about to be gone, dude, so why not? Florida's the only thing that makes this country money. Who cares? I mean, I'm not fully wrong with that, but
Yeah,
no, on a humorous side to get it back into the the entertainment part of it. Um, Florida has a lot of crackheads, so
And in the case of the freaking whole thing with Ukraine, freaking that, right, well, maybe if Putin would finally just admit that he freaking has had his ass handed to him for the last couple of years by a country that he thought he was going to steamroll over, maybe we wouldn't be having this problem. That's sad when freaking Putin and all his freaking ass kissers were freaking cowering in the freaking offices and freaking pissing themselves when Ukraine finally decided, you know what, motherfuckers, you want to freaking try to make our lives a living hell? We're going to invade your fucking country and freaking kick your guys' ass all the way back to fucking Moscow.
and
Yeah, here's the
see,
thing, though, is that it's not like it was just Ukraine. It was Ukraine backed by billions of dollars. So that's a proxy war, when another country is using another country to fight the war for them. So in many ways, it's the United Nations versus Russia. The thing that kind of fucks with my head about the whole thing is that we always split into two teams when we're arguing over stuff. Right, like hashtag Civil War, hashtag Coke versus Pepsi. Obviously, politics, big one. Like Democrats versus Republicans, Harlem Globetrotters versus Washington Generals. So when the Russian war on Ukraine broke out, I was like, I guess I'll be with Russia this time. And then the next day, I go out, I leave my house, I'm like, oh, I backed the wrong horse, didn't I? And like everything was Team Ukraine, right? Like the Starbucks, the Subway, Netflix, the Ukrainian Credit Union, like everyone got on the support Ukrainian bandwagon. I'm like, oh fuck, man, I fucked this one up. All right, I'm gonna do my homework. Next conflict, I'm gonna get this one right. Israel Palestine ramps up. I'm like, okay, I did my homework. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna pick the right side on this one. I did not pick the right side again, but at least I'm still in good terms with my dentist.
All I know is that whenever the only way this whole thing between Ukraine and Russia is going to end is either freaking somebody finally ousts Putin that freaking and agrees to a peace treaty with freaking and lets freaking Ukraine join NATO, or freaking World War III breaks out.
the truth of how it's gonna end is more than likely a peace treaty's gonna happen.
Because
The
eventually
reason
Putin's
is,
going to run out of people that are actually going to want to actually they're going to choose to fight or being
well,
forced to
okay,
fight.
I'll start World War III. I'll stop it. I'll make a deal. I'll cut a deal. Everybody will get their land. Putin will get Crimea. Ukraine.
Ukraine
We'll get Starbucks. Everyone will be happy. I'll
and they're
stop
gonna go to
World
war.
War III. I genuinely think that that Trump will actually just stop World War III. I legitimately think that. What?
Dude, with that kind of being stated, and by the way, just clarifying, this is all entertaining purposes,
Oh,
but
entertainment purposes. Don't take the show seriously.
just in case of someone in the future sees this and goes,
And also,
You guys.
I'm aware that I have a very low tier Trump impression. There are much better Trump impressions out there, but
I like it because it's different.
I'm
You
trying
could
to do.
use
I'm trying to
that
do.
same voice.
I appreciate. I'm trying to
for
do
something
rally
else.
Trump. I'm trying to do like when Trump is like speaking at rallies and he's all like bombastic and he's at his loudest. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. I just go, you could build a wall. It'll be huge. That's the only thing I got. Like, and with that, I never see anything huge.
It's not even a complete wall. I talked them into wall, space, wall, space, wall. They had to
Dude,
force space on me, so I created the Space Force. I did a role reversal there. All right, we gotta move on to
I
Charles's
will.
game stuff.
I don't know. Like, I don't really care for politics. I want this thing to be over just as much as anybody else. But freaking Christ Almighty, at some point, people in Russia need to freaking realize that they freaking outnumber whatever's left of Putin's military at this point.
I agree. Right now, I'm just hoping it does end in a peace treaty. More than likely, it will. We're at that point where it'll end in a peace treaty. Everything's gonna go back to a new normal. But it will. I'm pretty certain it will end peacefully. Um, unfortunately, more bodies will have to come up first, but it should end peacefully. Now, with that being stated, though, if we build a wall between
This isn't
Ukraine
China
and
and the Great
Russia,
Wall, Jordan.
what if we build another wall? Make the Mexicans pay for it.
I tried to tell Reagan, don't knock that wall down. You're gonna regret it. You want to use that wall as a blueprint for how to make other walls. Reagan didn't listen to me. Where is he now?
I love this voice impression because it also sounds like Trump just had one too many. You know what?
I'm drunk from.
Fuck Hillary. She's done. Welcome to the Hunters. Imagine that's how we started the episode is just the Trump speech and then it starts. Um, so anyways, getting to our last bit because I think we're all gonna lose a brain cell too. So getting into our last bit, because of Charles' birthday, we kind of wanted him to take the stage here. Charles is a man known for his games, his many, many games. He has lots of games of all different kinds, from anywhere from a Nintendo DS to a handheld, something no one ever heard of, all the way up to the new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 because when this is getting released, it'll probably be released, and if not, who gives a fuck? So with that being stated, we kind of wanted to all know Charles goes on about many games and movies, and we will never get into the movie topic because we were losing viewer retention. But the games, though, Charles plays a lot of interesting games. What is Charles' favorite games? Charles, I would like to hear your list of favorite games, and then we, the viewers, will criticize in the most respectful way possible. Charles, what is your top five?
I just want to make a quick comment.
Funny.
Because speaking on as respectful as possible, as we were discussing the hurricane, and I'm watching Fortnite footage where it kept saying, "You're in the storm, run." I'm like, oh no. Anyways, Charles, you
Okay,
bring up a
go.
game, I'll look it up on YouTube.
All right, but I know. I'm going from one to all the way down to 20. I've thought about doing it from 20 to one, but just figured it'd just be easier going from the top of the list to the bottom. My
Go find
all-time favorite.
Borderlands play someone playing Borderlands for a while. That's his favorite franchise.
My all-time favorite video game is Halo 3 because that had probably the best campaign in the Halo franchise besides Halo Reach, and probably had some of the best music and had the best storyline because it's literally was pretty much the marketing for it was literally the tagline "Finish the fight," just like Master Chief said at the end of Halo 2, which a lot of people will say is the most ball-busting ending to a video game freaking ever. Well, one of them anyways. But that game had probably the best multiplayer figure in the Halo franchise too.
Did
Which
you
is
do co-op Halo 3?
yeah, that was probably one of the easier games to beat on Legendary.
Just saying, we could do Lasso.
Fuck that.
This is why you
I'd rather
gotta
go through
have
fucking
fun.
Halo 2 on Legendary again.
No, you wouldn't. Shut the fuck up. You would
Yeah, I'd
not
rather
want
have my
to.
balls busted than be the Halo 2 on Legendary.
See? Next one.
My second favorite is my all-time favorite Call of Duty game, even though there's a lot of Call of Duty games that I like. Black Ops 2, which is the best one Black Ops game they ever made. Black Ops 1 is close second. But Black Ops 2 also had a really good campaign. Zombies was fun as heck. And freaking the multiplayer was probably one of the better multiplayers that Call of Duty's ever done. Modern Warfare 2019 is probably best recent Call of Duty they came out with. And I will state that point. I liked Advanced Warfare's campaign. The multiplayer was It was probably like the only futuristic Call of Duty that they came out with that I actually liked. Maybe besides Black Ops 2, but that's up for debate. And Ghosts was had a pretty good campaign. The multiplayer sucked dick though. And the original Modern Warfare 2 and 3 were my other favorites. And World at War is probably the best World War II Call of Duty. My third favorite video game is Final Fantasy 14, which is the outside of what little I played of World of Warcraft. FF14 is probably my favorite Final Fantasy game that I played, even though it's like the only one I played, and it's the only MMO I actually would put time in if I was able to. But I don't think my laptop has the space to figure out for that game, and I just don't have the time to freaking invest in that game because that game is freaking a chore, and there's a lot of shit to do in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But what time I did spend in it, I liked it, and there's a Twitch and YouTube creator which was also part of my inspiration to do YouTube that got me into 14.
Hell yeah.
And I want to go back and play it someday because now I can play it on the Xbox, but freaking I have to get an Xbox Series X for that. Last one or two.
I just want to stop for a second here, A, to make a point, and B, because my carpal tunnel is setting in. But I was playing World of Warcraft Season of Discovery. Unfortunately, I had to close the subscription because the phases were every like 3 months at a time, and then a new phase would be released, and so you had to get back into the grind. And I was playing too slowly, and so I missed out on most of the phase content. And I thought, okay, well, I'm basically paying for nothing. Like, forget it. But what I will say about these kind of games is that when we play games like, all right, now I'm into Deadlock. You guys, we got Fortnite as a group, and we all have our individual games as well. And sometimes it sucks to come home from a long day of work, or in Jordan's case, like a long 3-day stretch of work, only to play a game where you can get your ass beat. So having games where you do have work to do at least gives you a sense of achievement and accomplishment, which can sometimes be a huge boon, right? So, yeah, I mean, the grinding is always irritating, but it really depends on whether or not the game is fun to play once you've done your to-do list, or if it's the kind of game where, like, once you've done everything, you go, well, there's nothing left to do. I guess I'm just gonna, wait until the next release or something like that. It's a whole thing I have about intrinsic and extrinsic modes of motivation, but it was really unfortunate because a lot of people who were into WoW, they had played the game so much, or they'd been so conditioned by other games of it, that essentially they would just get their tasks done, and then be a ghost until raid time, and that's unfortunate. I have a cough coming.
And I like World of Warcraft story and everything, and the cinematics and the trailers that they come out with. And I've read a couple of the books. Like I still follow the story and everything, and I'll watch when they release a cut scene looking for like something going on in the story, and but I'll watch the trailers and everything for World of Warcraft. But I don't know if I'll play it again unless I like decide to try and play classic. But I'd have to freaking get you to do that with me if I'm going to play classic because that's a fucking grind. And also, if you can think about like about 14 is a story because it even through its basic game has a really good story, and the expansions are even better. And the music in Final Fantasy 14 is freaking dope. And that's another thing with a lot of these video games; they have really good music that I like. You know,
I will agree, especially with a lot of the older games because they actually came out with soundtracks. Like, bro, that's where it was at. Like, you turn on a game, you would look forward to that fight because you knew that music was going to kick in. And like Legend of Dragon was that for me. The battle music for the first battle
Hmm.
boss you fight, da na 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 da 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 boom 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 boom. I remember that, and I remember getting so hyped seeing it load up in, and I was like, "Yeah, baby!" I would
Sick.
record it on my MP3 player because I had a little record option. Now I'd set it at my speaker on the TV for like 30 minutes. So whenever I was out in the fields and working, I could just have that playing the whole time. Uh Man, I was addicted to soundtracks back then, but that was when games were actually made better.
Hmm. I will say that, like, for me, the wandering music from Final Fantasy VIII, the one that goes boom 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 boom, that one sticks out with me.
I will say
Yeah,
that if I had a PS5, I would play Final Fantasy VII Remake and its sequel, and I would play the one where you play as Zack. That was a prequel to 7.
Crisis Core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Danger Cerberus too, but I have to get that for the PS2.
I don't know any Final Fantasy game. Only Final Fantasy game I've ever played was the one on the GameCube, and it was like the
Crystal
war.
Chronicles.
Maybe I think that's it. Where you're like you can create avatars and you're like a bubbly man, or you could be like a bubbly night man or something like that. You never seen the main character in the game. It was weird. It was like playing Final Fantasy on crystal meth.
Hmm.
It was very, very strange, but I don't know if I'm experienced. But
And I will
it
also
was the only Final Fantasy game I ever played, and I did not like it.
I will also say the two animated Final Fantasy movies, more so Advent Children, were pretty good too. Advent Children is the better one. The freaking Spirits Within one, I don't know what the fuck they were doing with that.
They just gave up halfway through and went, this should work.
If you ever want to know why I freaking say that, Jordan, just look up Final Fantasy Spirits Within on YouTube. You'll see clips of it on there somewhere.
Okay.
Found him.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm showing a clip right now.
Oh, I was gonna sit there and say, speaking of clip, what's your next game?
Gears of War 3. I love the Gears of War franchise. The only third-person shooter I've ever played besides Ratchet and Clank, and like Gears of War 3 was my favorite one out of all three of them. The marketing for that game was freaking probably went up there with Halo 3 and Halo 3 ODST and certain other games when it comes to marketing and the original Black Ops because I like that trailer that you had all those people just shooting at each other. Freaking had a cameo by Kobe freaking in there at one point with the fucking noob tube. Like Gears of War 3 also had a really good story, and you had to kind of play through Gears of War 2, at least read up on what happened in the comic that happened in between the game, into the books that happened in between the games, and know what leads into 3. But literally,
Mhm.
you knew right off the bat when they showed one of the first trailers for that game that one of the main characters, Dom, was gonna probably not gonna make it to the game. When he literally is ready to die, when you have a locust running up on him and about to shoot him, but then Marcus just comes in with his freaking infinite ammo double barrel shotgun that you never see him reloading this freaking thing. And freaking, I still get freaking upset thinking about that cutscene when Dom dies when he sacrifices himself to save the squad. And it was so satisfying watching freaking Marcus freaking stab that freaking knife in the mirror his freaking midsection. Fuck that bitch.
Yeah, Gears 3 was definitely like if you didn't play a Gears game, that is the one to play. You don't need to play one, you don't need to play two, you definitely don't need to play four. But if you just played three, that game would get you hooked on it. So I definitely agree with your positioning of having that be your fourth. What's your fifth?
Devil May Cry 5, my favorite one of the franchise, and the only one I've actually beaten so far.
Out of my life.
Okay, so you say that. Have you actually played and beaten the other Devil May Cries?
Played 4, I still have to finish it because I'm stuck at one point, and I haven't played 1 through 3. And I haven't played that freaking weird one that Ninja Theory came out with. That was a reboot nobody asked for. But I've watched gameplay of all of them.
Okay. So that's interesting because like Devil May Cry 4 is probably like the best one in my opinion. I love Devil May Cry. I mean my gamer tag for Call of Duty was Dante the Hunter. So and Dante was because of Dante from Devil May Cry. So it's like Devil May Cry I absolutely loved, but Devil May Cry 4, Nero, and I think her name is Kidian. Oh my God, dude. It's so fun good. And then Rose fuck. It was just, dude, that game, that
Personally, I
game.
like the Devil May Cry 4. That one probably has some of the best music in I've ever heard too. And freaking that song they have in the trailer for it is one of my favorite songs too. But 5, freaking that, I never had as much fun as I have playing the game that I did. Freaking when I would just be spamming freaking buttons on my controller and freaking just flying through the air, freaking whooping demon ass as Nero. Dante still confuses me how to play as him. But freaking, I'll just be randomly switching between the weapons. And shit, and it's just like freaking. I prefer this is I get people like Dante, but I'll stick to playing with Nero and no Virgil because he's fun as hell too. And Virgil's freaking theme is one of my all-time favorite songs.
I just remember back when I used to watch X Play on Tech TV, which later got merged into G4 Tech TV, which later got merged into G4, which later shut down, which later opened back up, which later got shut down again. But they did a review, I think it was of Devil May Cry 2,
Yeah.
where no one liked that one. There was like a secondary character who I think had guns. I don't remember her name. Yeah, she kind of like
Lady.
a darker skin.
Not Lady. It was. I remember who it is. Freaking, it's the only one they haven't brought
Maybe,
back out of all the games, and even from the
I guess
anime, they haven't even brought it back.
I'm just gonna see if I can pull it up real quick. But I just remember X Play did a review of Devil May Cry 2, and they thought it's not bad. They gave it a 3 out of 5. But then the rest of the X Play, once they had seen how much everybody else hated Devil May Cry 2, they basically gaslit the audience into thinking they didn't give it a good review, even though they did. And so I'm just thinking, like, what happened, guys? Like, you couldn't stand for your own opinion? Oh, what's this? Billy D. Williams is in Devil May Cry 2? See, there you go. Like, how bad could the game be?
But yeah,
Devil May Cry 2 was just it was fun. The storytelling is they did a very bad job with the first Devil May Cry and they picked it up in 2 and 3. But if you play 2 without playing 1, you're fucking lost. And then if you play 3 without playing 2, give up. Like
even though three takes
if you're
place between
following
before
through
all of
the
them.
story. But just the storyline number 1, fucking dog shit. It's so hard to understand. You don't know what's happening. You know this hot white guy is wanting to chase down this hot white girl, and there's demons.
I mean, this I know the storyline of the Devil May Cry franchise. It goes three, one, two, anime somewhere in between one of those, four, and then five.
Hmm.
And somewhere this new anime that's coming out is somewhere supposed to fit in there.
Yeah, I
In
mean
the
the
manga.
storyline. You're right. That's how it lines out, and it makes total sense with how it's aligned out and everything else. But the how they told the story is what lacks. Because number 1 throws you in, and you're just supposed to know what you're doing. And it's just like, how does this make sense? You're literally getting thrown in, and there's no help, there's no nothing. It's just, no, you're here. Do this. Hey, you're killing demons. Hey, apparently you know this demon. You don't know anything. So the first one just didn't do a good job at storytelling, especially finding out that the first one was supposed to be a Resident Evil game.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. It was.
And so I'm just like, oh, I'm like, what? This makes no fucking sense. How did your storyline just go with all walkers? But I still love Devil May Cry as well. So I agree with your list. Now that was your top 5. That was your top 5. And I criticize your top 5 because I see games down below it. And so just I'm not gonna spoil it, but I think there are 2 games that need swapped out. Um and it's Gears of War and Final Fantasy. I think those 2 are should get swapped out for 2 of these other games that I will point out whenever we get to them.
Trust me, I thought
Um,
about it, and I meant to freaking switch out Borderlands 2 for one of them.
okay, okay, that is one on there. So let's go ahead. Just skip to that one. Tell us why that's your favorite.
Borderlands 2 is one of the best Borderlands in the franchise, in my opinion. It has the best story. All six characters were fun as shiznits to play as. The legendary making farming was a bit of a pain in the ass, but it was too bad unless you're trying to farm a freaking uncapped hero. Making that was a pain in the ass. And most of the DLC outside of the freaking Hammerlock one, freaking was actually pretty good. And only like one or two of the Headhunter DLCs were good, but one of these why anybody plays as a Headhunter DLCs is most of the Farm the Crime Mirax ripoff.
See, that's why I saw Borderlands 2 and I was like, that should be removed with Final Fantasy because here's the truth is I played Borderlands 3 like no tomorrow. I have about the same amount of hours in Borderlands 3 as you have in Borderlands 2. It's a lot. A lot that no human should ever have. So I'm like, that's not in your top 5? That's crazy. But Borderlands 2 definitely deserves its spot in the rankings because it's just the storyline's good. You can play Borderlands 2. Honestly, every Borderlands game you can play and not have to play another Borderlands game. Absolutely love it. I know we started playing Borderlands 2, I think. Um,
Pre-sequel.
oh, we started playing the pre-sequel.
We never
We started
finished
playing the
it.
pre-sequel. Never got back to it, unfortunately, at the moment, but we started playing it and just looked down at the screen. We started playing it. It was definitely fun. It's just Borderlands 2 though, that's definitely where it is. Borderlands 2 and 3. Now what is the one above it?
Destiny. Pretty much if you took Borderlands and Halo and if they had a kid and freaking mixed in MMO elements. And honestly, I played Destiny a bit late in the year once. Like it was better than what it was at launch, really. But I kind of wish I could have played it at launch so I could have experienced some of the shit that people talk about still to this day. But I still had to deal with some janky ass bullshit even back then when I got into the game because we can grind to get to the freaking max level. Even when I got into the game, was still fucking retarded. I was stuck at level 29 for like forever, and for some fucking reason. I could never get a freaking legendary to drop. All my fucking buddies were getting fucking legendaries to drop. I didn't get my first freaking exotic till I got a freaking exotic everybody was hunting for my first Nightfall strike in that fucking game. Freaking they get and Destiny 1 really didn't get good, really that great until Taken King DLC came out. And I still have my copy of that version of the game that I got from GameStop to this day. It's over here in my
Shout out
pocket.
to the YouTube auto search because I just realized I wrote in Destiny one, but it figured out what I wanted.
I will say though, Destiny 2 freaking has just about almost everything from Destiny 1 in the game except for like but freak and it has just about all the raid bosses and everything. And I like playing Destiny 2, but freaking I wish they would do like a remake or a remaster of Destiny 1, but like just like the first year with like just the first two DLCs. And, and I've always had this idea of how a storyline could be for like if they did a remake of Destiny 1 where they could actually fit in freaking the stuff that they put in the game later on in the along with the year one stuff. But we can, we don't have time to go into that.
Okay. So speaking of not having too much time, let's run through a couple of these real fast. Can't continue to go
Resistance
down your list.
Let's do them fast. Yeah.
Resistance Fall, man, one probably the only one of my favorite shooters of all time and was one of the first PS3 games I ever played. And I started the second one, never finished it, but I'm glad which is why I'm glad that I got it now. And I never got to play the third one, which is also why I got that. And like I said, Resistance is one of my favorite shooters, and the multiplayer was fun too. It was like one of the few shooters I ever got to max rank in.
Mm-hmm.
There's one game series or one style of game that I always want to see how good of a job developers did, which is how they handle large conflicts where you're not just like a one man army, but you're, a member of an army of many people, and trying to find that balance between is your AI going or your allies going to help you? Are they just going to look like they're helping, but you have to do everything? Do you have to help them, keep them alive? So Resistance, Killzone, those are both game series on the PlayStation that are on my to-do list because I'm really interested in seeing from that design structure how they managed to handle it.
I
Mm-hmm.
actually have Killzone 1 through 3 over my collection right now. If I ever actually got to play them, one of them would probably be on this list.
I've got Killzone 2. I haven't found Killzone 1 yet, but
But next one is probably well, actually, I meant to put there should be two games, but there's only one because I hadn't had a chance to add it on there yet. My two favorite Pokemon games of all time because I just couldn't pick between the two. Pokemon Emerald, which is my favorite Game Boy one, which is one of the first Pokemon games I actually got to play, and Pokemon Platinum, which is probably the best DS one that they've came out with. Both of which have the best storylines of Pokemon games that I played, even though I like a lot of them. And I'm one of the defenders of the 3DS era ones. I don't care what anybody says. They might not have been the greatest, but those were good games. And
Mm-hmm.
freaking, they both have really good music in them. And some of my favorite Pokemon are in Emerald and Platinum. One of my favorite starters, Mudkip, is in Emerald and Ruby and Sapphire. And I was so happy when I got to play Omega Sapphire because that's as close to a into a remaster of Emerald we're ever going to get. And Platinum has freaking Chimchar, which is one of my favorite fire types. Tortwig and freaking what the fuck is the water one's name? Piplup are good starters too, but I'll choose Infernup any day because that's freaking Sun Wukong in Pokemon form, but essentially. And Lucario's in that game. It is one of my favorite pseudo legendaries. And like I said, I like a lot of Pokemon games, but those two of my favorite all time ones.
I
Ratchet and
get
Cl
that.
Ratchet and Clank, one of my favorite. The original one is probably one of the best PS2 games they ever came out with, and one of my favorite ones of this franchise. I have yet to. I want to. That's another reason why I want to get a PS5 is because I want to freaking play the remake that they did, which they did a movie for, which I still don't. I still question why they why they remake did the whole movie even. They just changed things around, but They literally freaking bullshitted Nefarious into the freaking storyline of this remake, even though he wasn't in the original version of the first Ratchet and Clank. Chairman Drac was the main villain. But with this remake, freaking of the original Ratchet and Clank, they bullshitted Nefarious into it. Because they're pretty much like, fuck you, Drac, you were only relevant in this game, then you would never see it again because you got killed off by your own weapon. After that one, it's Diablo 3, which is the only which outside of what little I played Diablo 4 is the only Diablo game I've played, and probably the most probably the one that I think is fun as heck. And I want to play the freaking Diablo 2 in the first one because I can play they have them I think on Xbox now. At least they have Diablo 2.
Yeah, because it's Diablo 2 Resurrected, which is the HD version. Now,
Yeah.
Diablo 2, I know I mentioned this on our tier list episode because we were debating putting Diablo 4 into S tier. Um, which gameplay wise, I will still stand by that, but the sort of like the marketing and the product side and the Blizzard side of it is what holds it back long term. That's not the fault of the developers though. The developers did right by it, but Diablo 2 is sublime. It's still a gameplay experience that I can go back to this day and still enjoy, but it is a little bit of a adjustment because we're talking a pretty old game at this point in terms of structure. So we're looking at Diablo 3 footage right now, and Diablo 3 is the first modernized Diablo. It has that more like contemporary 720p feel to it, whereas like Diablo 2 is like 360p kind of gameplay. Playing it on the update will smooth out a lot of those edges. It'll have, I guess, more abilities. It'll be easier to play overall. But what makes Diablo 2 really special is that not a lot of games do this, where you have a group, you can have a party of up to 8 players in your game. Diablo 3 only did groups of 4. Diablo 4 only does groups of 4 except for certain events. Diablo 1 only did groups of 4. Diablo 8 was the only game that had a party size of 8 players. And you're not just talking like one-off heroes. Some people only had their one hero, but everybody could hire at least one mercenary. So that actually brought your party size up to 16, warm bodies running around killing stuff. And then you have the necromancer who can summon an army and can bring in at least like another like 11 or 12, well, not warm bodies, they're skeletons. The druid can bring this whole pack of different animals, wolves, a couple of bears, crows. The Amazon, she can summon Valkyries, which are more like holy versions of Amazons. So a full group with as many summons as you can get your hands on, you're looking at like 30 or 40 allied units all rampaging through the countryside, and the game adapts. So the more people you have, the more players you have, the harder the game gets. So it doesn't get any easier. In fact, it gets harder. And it is honestly just pure gaming bliss to just have a big as group as you can get your hands on and run through the game. Unfortunately, Diablo 2 has been hyper optimized because it is over 20 years old. I think even 30 years old at this point. So you do have to find a group of people who are willing to play it old school and just walk through the game, do all the side quests, play it suboptimally. Because, I mean, I don't blame players. They've done like this 1,000 times, so they're really not interested in killing Bloodraven. They're really not interested in the well, actually they do get the Horagic Malice, but they're just not interested in touching grass. So they just try to level their characters up to max level within the span of like a couple of days. But if you guys ever wanted to get together and try to get a full 8-person group for Diablo 2, I promise it is one of the best times you can have in gaming.
Okay.
I can't believe I've been talking about. I wrote Diablo 3.
I still need to finish Reaper Souls DLC for that game. For Diablo 3, I mean.
I haven't played a single Diablo game. I
And
talked
this-
about this in our tier list. I've never played a Diablo game.
Yeah. So if you look at the screen now, Jordan, this is how it originally looked. But if you get resurrected, it'll be an HD update to this. But even so, I mean, the game still looks okay. It's got that kind of gritty 3D rendered art style to it.
Okay. I mean, it's not terrible. It's a nice old school style game. So I like it.
Next one's tricky because I tried to limit it how many of a certain type of game was on here. I've only ever played three Need for Speed games: Underground 1 and 2, and this one, which was my favorite one, and it was one of the handful of PS2 games I ever got to play that I like playing. Need for Speed Most Wanted. Thinking, and I had this on the originally on the PS2, but I was so happy when I found this on the 360. I still have to play it. I still haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I'm just happy that I finally got this freaking game, and I want to get the PS2 version eventually. But that's one of my favorite. It's kind of a race. It's a racing game, and it's freaking, and it's also like one of those escape the cops kind of games.
Hmm.
But it's more so a racing game. Just like freaking cop chase is just a thing that you have to deal with occasionally. And you can soup up whichever car you want, so that you can outrace all your competitors and work your way up to the top of the list of most wanted drivers in the game. And I'm pretty sure it had online capability at one time, but that's no more.
God, I'm loving the this idea. So audience, we're not just doing this for you. Like we have a screen that we can see as well showing what you guys are seeing. And it's so nice to see how old games used to not care about physics. Just like, yeah, full speed into the grass, hop the curve, go out. And then you have like, the newer Need for Speed games. You want to hop that curve? You want to get totaled? You want to hop that fucking curve? Okay, buddy. Okay, hop the curve and you're just it's such oh yeah, that's a good one. It's such a difference because you go back to this old school like it doesn't matter, it's a game, who cares about physics? But then later you get in life, they care about the physics, they care about, hey, when you take a turn, how you actually need to steer, if you hit gravel while driving, how's that going to affect your car? I just love to see how games actually went, hey, let's get more realistic into this.
I mean,
I
I
also
can't wait till they get so realistic that we find out what happens after he gets arrested, and then he has to get his fingerprints done and get the mug shot taken. Then you have to actually spend 3 to 5 years in prison.
I thought about there's like actually a couple of other
I
racing
would
games I
play
thought
it.
about putting in this spot. I thought about adding freaking my favorite NASCAR game, which was NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup, which really starts off with a street race where your guys driving around a Corvette, and he starts having a staring contest with a current time professional race car drivers in another Corvette, and then two other motherfuckers pull up freaking for this race too, and they just do this illegal ass hell of freaking street race, and when you win, you get hired on as a fucking NASCAR driver.
What was it? I think it was Driver. I had the demo for Driver and never could beat the demo. It was like stay away from the cops, and it just could not do it.
I just like imagine if
Um,
he could just be in a legal street race just because you beat a professional race car driver and you get hired on as a fucking NASCAR driver. Oh,
I never beat the demo for Haunted Mini Putt.
and thinking the next one is my favorite Battlefield game in the franchise, even though I played the first Bad Company, started the second one, never finished it. You know, that game is pretty good too. Beat Hardline, which was stupid. Played Battlefield 3 a bit, never finished Battlefield 1, but I started that one too. And 2482 could go kiss my ass. But Bad Company is probably my favorite Battlefield game because I figure one of my favorite campaigns that I've played in video games. And you notice a recurring thing that if a game has a really good campaign story, multiplayer, and music, and those are pretty much the things I like the most about in certain video games. And or if I just like and if they're just fun to play in general. But Bad Company one of the best storylines, and I like the characters. Like the sergeant had always tempts fate by freaking saying he's going to retire, and he never gets killed off yet. Knock on wood. Hopefully, he doesn't get killed off whenever they make Battlefield Bad Company 3. Sweetwater just doesn't know when to shut the fuck up. He's the guy that gets a fucking machine gun, and Taggart, who's the freaking redneck, is running around with a freaking shotgun that just freaking just. They're all just a bunch of goofs, and then you got the guy you play as is freaking I forget his name, but he doesn't really talk much outside of cutscene, but freaking, he's probably one of my favorite playable characters that I played in a video game. And Bad Company is just freaking one of the games that takes the whole idea of being able to blow shit up and just ramps it up to a fucking 100.
all in all, I think that's a good placement. I've only played the newer Battlefield games. Um, And I don't know.
Oh shit!
I
This guy hit the
was not a
broadside of a
fan.
barn.
He shot a bar side. Also, you brought up Joseph, you brought up that golf game. It you never beat that demo.
No,
You can never get it in the hole.
no,
Are you good
multiple
at mini
holes.
golf?
Not really.
Oh, damn. I'm a bad person to go and like play certain games with because I'm a person that just always is in entertainment mode. So no matter what I'm doing, even if you guys are like, "Hey, let's do a serious game of mini golf," I will be the entertainer going, "Okay, let me do a handstand and let me just like the ball," just because I will be in just entertaining mode. But I love mini golf games. That is my guilty pleasure to get with friends and then lose friends the same day. Because we always make sure collision's on. So it's just if I can knock that ball around as many times as I can, I don't care about winning. Once I realize I ain't winning, it's game time, boys. It's game time, boys.
I
I
can
did
only
always want to
imagine.
play that frat boy version of golf where everybody has their own golf cart and you pretty much have to like kind of like drive by, hit your golf ball on it. So, golf can definitely go unhinged. It's funny because when typically when you think of golf, you think of just and it's on the green. Clap, 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 clap. Yes. Yes.
Maybe it's a good thing that Rooster Teeth is shut down because if they freaking hired us and we ended up doing rage quit video if Michael wasn't gonna do them anymore, freaking I can only imagine you'd be pissing everybody off, Jordan.
Because I'm an entertainer. Like if I'm in entertainment mode, I make sure people know, hey, I'm here to entertain. Let's do this. And then just go off the rails from then.
Next one is one of my favorite multiplayer games, and honestly, was considering the fact that you can
Smash.
literally play as a campaign from the original one, which makes the first one really irrelevant in my opinion. Left 4 Dead 2. Like I said, it's one of my favorite multiplayer games, and almost rarely ever am I ever freaking bored freaking because usually I know freaking where things spawn and what to expect when the encounters, but sometimes the director that spawns everything freaking will throw a freaking hook in the way and freaking randomly spawn an enemy I wasn't expecting somewhere or something, and he'll put freaking weapon somewhere else that I was expecting to be in one spot.
Trust me, I know. I just got the achievement for beating every single area on legendary mode or on the expert difficulty in realism. It fucking sucks.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it'll be on my YouTube channel by hopefully the end of this year. If not, I will only post one video this year.
Oh, the clock is ticking on that, eh? We're already in
Yee.
October, eh?
I know I want to get it done by October, but then I had to get up the cows and I had to get the mooses.
And I
I
don't.
don't know how
Oh,
Canadians talk.
hey.
Give me Subway. I don't know.
Well, we have a Mr. Sub up here. Unfortunately, Mr. Sub is identifying as non-binary now. So now the name for Mr. Sub is in flux. Oh, don't send me to jail, Mr. Trudeau. Oh, even though jail is probably more affordable than trying to live a normal life here in Canada. Eh?
The next one on the list, I don't play very many Transformers games, but when War for Cybertron was a fun one too, I still have yet to finish that. And same with this one. I actually still have to get it, so I actually can finish it, I think. Transformers War for Cybertron had one of the best trailers I seen when they showed it at the VGA years ago, which has the Humbling River playing background while Optimus is walking in from the fog while holding an injured Bumblebee, while the freaking war is going on all around him. And freaking in the trailer, you literally see Ironhide punching Starscream in the face when he tried to freaking swing his sword at Optimus. And then you have freaking Jazz killing a Decepticon soldier. And the trailer ends with Grimlock pulling up, freaking they're ready to take on Bruticus. And freaking in the other trailer they showed was Swoop getting bitch slapped off screen by Bruticus while Grimlock and Snarl are taking him on. And freaking
I
everything
played
else.
through this whole game. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite missions. All like in all of gaming, and then therefore my favorite mission in this is a sequence where the Decepticons are running from that. I still can't remember the name of the giant Autobot defender. I think it was like
Metroplex?
Alpha. I'm gonna take your word on that. But there's a whole mission where he's chasing the Decepticons around, and of course, in the true Decepticon fashion, they're all arguing with each other, pointing fingers as to whose fault it is while they're running for their life.
Are you talking
So
about the first
that
game
was
of
an
War for Cybertron or Fall for Cybertron?
War for Cybertron is the first one.
Okay, then that's Omega Supreme.
Omega Supreme, thank you. Yeah, yeah, I loved that mission. That was so much fun. And it was just like, for me, it was the perfect Decepticon experience because no one wants to take responsibility for waking the thing up, and they're all trying to run for their lives. So that like self-preservation, but also forced to deal with each other vibe of the Decepticons. On the other hand, though, the one thing that bothered me about this game goes back to what I was saying earlier about Resistance, how you have your two wingmen who are useful in fights, but then you have all of these like NPC Autobots or NPC Decepticons who are just like pretend fighting. They're like pretend ducking out of cover to shoot stuff. And so for me, the fact that they're calling it War for Cybertron, but there's actually very little war sequence, it frustrates me as a gamer. I always want to see them, try to make the battle as compelling as possible. They're the ones that said war, right? Not me. If they said battle for Cybertron, then you can kind of be like, okay, well, a battle could be between two people, but they didn't do that. So I was a little cheesed by that. But nonetheless, like if you're a Transformers fan, you can't go wrong with this game.
And it sucks when they shut down the multiplayer for both those games because there's a YouTuber called I forget, it's Johnny Flash, who actually has like a whole series of videos that he's done using character models from Transformers Fall of Cybertron, which was actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting to find out if you're ever going to upload another video on that, but who knows at this point. The next one, freaking, I wish I'd played it more when I had the collection that they did for it. And it's sad that I spent more time in it freaking on the PlayStation 1 than any other system. But Spyro, You're the Dragon, which is what my favorite Spyro game of that franchise. Because I remember I always had fun playing as the kangaroo, and when I was able to unlock him playing as a penguin, where he could fly around bombing people and shit. And I just hated that freaking bear that freaking charged a ridiculous amount of gems that you had to pay him barely free all these other NPC characters that he played as. And one of these days, I want to freaking try and beat that whole game because that game was fun. And one of my favorite PlayStation era games that I've ever played as a kid, and I miss it. They did a remake of it and like I think two other Spyro games, but I never got to finish them.
Yeah, this was one I played and never beat. And it wasn't because it was bad. It's just I was too young to understand what the fuck to do.
You were too
I
young
would.
for Spyro the Dragon.
I'm
You're the
not
dragon.
joking. I just could
Hmm.
not understand it. You give me Resident Evil, I got you. This, I was like, I got nothing. Like,
Okay.
I'm out.
Those PS1 graphics do not hold up though. Freaking looking back on it, it's like freaking the PS1 very with only with a certain exceptions with certain games does not hold up very well.
Dude, I
There are a
think they're
few who do.
phenomenal from what they were. Bro. I mean, you can play it today. I mean, yeah, you would have to be high a bit, but you could play it today and still get enjoyment out of it.
I
Yeah.
I
mean,
think that's
what we're looking at right now on screen, it looks like it's full HD at 1080p. So that's why I was like, hang on a second. I don't think that's how the game looked originally. Um, See if I can get like PS1 footage. For me, the art style doesn't bother me. The low polygon count doesn't bother me. It's just when the resolution is so low and everything's blurry. That's a little bit of a problem.
I know they were limited
yeah.
with what they could do on the PS1, but I think that's probably one of their better games they came out with on that system. And one of my other favorite PS2 games was one of Spyro's competitors back then was Crash Bandicoot, and my favorite Crash game besides Warped is Crash Bandicoot Wrath of the Cortex. That's another game I never got to finish, but I got all the way to like the Water Temple and at one point freaking it, and like I said, that game was fun, and it was the game that introduced Crunch for those who play the Crash Bandicoot games, and that had one of the better campaigns in the Crash Bandicoot series. I never got into Jack and Dexter freaking. If anybody and I never really got to play Sly Cooper, so if people have an issue with that, we can deal with it. And like I said, Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex is one of my favorite PS2 games and it's my favorite Crash game in the franchise besides Warped. I want to play that new one though. That one looks good.
I only have one thing to say about Crash Bandicoot Warped. How's it?
Oh,
For a
jeez.
guy who never played Crash Bandicoot, I'm imagining that's the main theme song.
It's just a very memorable song from a really memorable level.
One of the first areas.
Man, I mean, graphics back then, like, yeah, I mean, compared to now, but just for me, actually, like, talking to other game creators and stuff like that and realizing everything they go through, bro, imagine not having a computer that can load 1080p trying to build a game using less than a gigabyte of RAM, because your computer would literally kill itself if it had anything more, just to be able to build a simple platforming game like this. God, I could not imagine.
The one four-wheeler game I ever really played that I liked, and it's the reason why I was in. I know the song "My Little Rock and Roll Queen." I don't know who the band was that did it, but it's the only game I've ever heard this. It has that I've heard that song in. Pure. It's essentially it's a four-wheeler racing game, but the jumps and the freaking air you get in that game is fucking ridiculous. Like literally, you'll get if you can have like a max boost and everything, when you do a jump, you'll get so freaking high in the air, you'll be clenching your ass and you would die freaking if you try attempting these jumps freaking in real life.
Challenge
Horrible.
accepted. See you tomorrow.
Oh Jesus Christ!
I just
And I
go, I'm
didn't,
gonna do it.
and like
Like
I
a
said, I never
250.
played the MTX versus ATV franchise, but this is pretty much like, but freaking I'd rather play pure any day of the week, and this is my favorite four-wheeler racing game. And I don't know if
Okay.
this thing had a campaign or a storyline or making a what, but but freaking hope I get the chance to find that out one of these days. And I never really got into making and racing games, but freaking or anything things like that. But Extreme G Racing 3 was another PS2 game I played quite a bit back in the day when I had a PS2. And that freaking game, freaking, and I've mentioned this on a prior podcast episode once. You pretty much you pick your bike and your rider, whatever, and that's for a race, and it's another racing game, and you're literally trying to win the race while also shooting your freaking fellow competitors, freaking, which they'll respawn eventually, but freaking, it's pretty much it's like Twisted Metal on two wheels, but you're also trying to win a competition,
Mario Kart.
F
kind of.
Zero. This is a lot like F Zero
It pretty much is, but on two wheels.
and guns. In F
That's
Zero,
it.
you can only do spin attacks, which was a little silly.
Do you get to see any titties in the game?
No,
I'm out. Next.
and this the reason why it's at the bottom of the list is because it was from another childhood favorite of mine back then. Because I was really huge, big into Monster Jam back then, and I've seen monster trucks in person, and I've met some of the monster truck drivers that I freaking cannot believe it. Because they're retired now. Freaking Monster Jam Maximum Destruction, which ironically is the name of a current day truck. It's pretty much if you took Twisted Metal and Monster Jam and mix them together, and you drive around as whichever truck you choose, and I would choose Gravedigger. You just drive around and freaking you pick up weapons, and you'll be shooting your other trucks. And if I remember correctly, it was like Last Truck Standing, but I can't remember because it's been so long. And I was so freaking mad and upset with myself when I left the one I had when I was a kid out in the rain on the back porch, freaking, and I wasn't able to play it again. I was so pissed off. And I was happy when I was able to get this game again because it was my favorite childhood favorite video games, and it was probably like the only Monster Jam game I'll ever play ever.
Man, I can't wait to see them do that live. Just start shooting each other in monster trucks. Oh, maybe that's morbid. I don't know.
And like I said, that's as close to a Twisted Metal game as I'll ever play is between this Monster Jam game and freaking that motorcycle game I mentioned, Extreme
I
G
just
Okay.
Racing
remembered
3.
I've been to a monster truck show. The thing that I remember, I pulled up a demolition derby right now because now that I'm looking back on it, I thought this is the most dangerous thing that a bunch of people could possibly do, which is just get into cars and run into each other until a car was completely totaled. Like the fact that nobody died is just fucking insane.
So
But that, oops, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just gonna ask Joseph, when the fucking Canada did he go to a car derby?
Yeah, no, good point. Um, we have a stadium. I think. Oh my gosh, I don't remember. Shit. I don't know. Maybe we did see it in America because I've been to America as a kid a couple of times, but I'm pretty sure we saw it here. Man, that's fucking me up, man. I might have actually just dreamt the whole thing.
Well, I was just curious. I'm like, Canadians, I mean, I know they do shit, but this is like some Missouri shit. This is Mississippi. This is not fucking Canada. Maybe if you were doing it with like logs attached to the top of it, so you can get
Well,
on
we
a
got medieval
hill.
times.
Yeah.
And there's other games I thought about having on this list, but freaking I wanted to narrow it down to a smaller list because I didn't want it to take forever. But those are
Thank
pretty
you.
much the 20 video games that are my 20 favorites of all time, and I would play them any day of the week. And I just had a
Nice.
question. When I was talking about the Pokemon ones, Joseph, did you have like one video pulled up of Pokemon Platinum and one of Emerald?
Well, I mean, I can only stream one window at a time, so I'm pretty sure I just had platinum.
All right.
No, you had Emerald first,
There's
and then you.
Charles. There's going to be a lot of inconsistencies between what you said and what's on screen.
I know, but that's just from my experience, what I was talking about.
Yeah. No, we Joseph did a great job, but when you're going through Call of Duties, holy shit. Joseph, I don't know if he's going to show his face in the edit of what he's doing,
I'll
but
see what I
he
can do.
literally went from typing in the one, again, typing in the other, typing in the other, typing in the other. He was
I'm
trying to
pretty
hurry
sure
up.
I showed the same face I was showing while I was on vacation.
The
Sorry.
serial killer just murdered a whole family
It's all
face.
good, man.
You can just show
I
like
didn't even realize this was going to turn into a bit, but it turned into a bit.
I mean,
I love
if
it.
it makes it easier for you, you can just show like anything from like Black Ops 2.
Oh, it's totally fine. It worked out. It was just it was awesome with me just sort of cracking up because we're both realizing what's going on. You're going through a list of the same Call of Duty, just different franchises, and he goes, "What?" Keeps
There's just
going
mo
so I'm trying not to fucking bust out laughing. Joseph's holding it back. It was awesome. So those are Charles' top 25 games. The two that I said that should have been replaced, I originally said that Final Fantasy and Gears of War shouldn't have been up there. Borderlands should have been number three, and then Pokemon should have uh been number two. Because for all my fucking life, it's Pokemon, Borderlands, Halo. And I've known this motherfucker for 10 years now, and I'm 25. That means I've known him over half of my goddamn life. He's literally only talks about three things: beer, Pokemon, Halo, Borderlands. Those are his three main games. That's why I was like, Borderlands not even in the top five? What the
Sometimes I'll talk
fuck?
about wrestling or freaking Destiny.
Yeah, Destiny, you go on and off with and wrestling. I am surprised I didn't see one in here, but I think it's
Thought
also
about
just
it.
because it's one of those games that you really have to be in the mood for versus some of these games you would turn it on just because you have nothing else to play and it's a nice comfort to go back to. So, but I like the list. Now, I hate to wrap it up. I don't, but I hate to wrap it up. I don't, so this is why I say it. I don't hate it because I'm tired. I do say I hate to wrap it up because we haven't done this in a while, and I'm having a blast. I'm trying not to go off on tangents. But I will sit there and state we're back at the golf. Tell me how
Yes,
this works,
yes, we are.
because man, I'm getting in that golf, and winter time's about to hit. All the putt courses are going to be having available slots. Man, I'm going to book a whole place for myself. So this
Well,
was a
there's not much I
demo.
can tell you that you can't infer for yourself on screen, but these are pre-rendered backgrounds, very much like the original Resident Evil games.
Hmm.
But instead of survival horror, it's mini putt survival horror. So a lot of the stages were also like puzzles, so you would have to kind of like figure out you had to hit something in order to activate something else. The only level that I can play in the demo was the junkyard, which obviously would be the first one. Honestly, it still has like a because it's got that uncanny creep factor to it. Like, look, that baby just spat the golf ball out, and you got this like chill skeleton who runs the place.
Yeah, that's me.
It's a it's a chill skeleton who runs the place.
Yeah.
Now that the list is done, I can put all these fucking games back.
Yeah, put your games back. Honestly, I was gonna show off. I'm watching this golf video right now, but I was gonna show off my Halo 3 copy because you didn't show it off, and I was like, bro, I got that Elite Edition Halo 3 copy. I have that metal tin. I got the pieces of paper inside of it. I got it all. It's a little rusty, but I got it all.
I do too. I was just too lazy to pull it out of my closet.
You mean
Lazy to pull out the other games when you were on your phone. Okay, what the fuck ever, guys. Oh man,
Where's the junkyard level? Is this the
dude,
one that-
knowing
I
that this
just-
is like puzzles. Oh my god.
Sorry, because I want to find the junkyard level. I assumed that because it was the demo level, that was the level that would be first, but it looks like the player went off in a whole other. There's like a heaven and hell level, which is pretty cool. I'm not gonna spoil any more of that. Junkyard. There it goes. Yeah, those you can hear kids screaming in the bus in the back. That freaked me out as a kid. That might have been why I couldn't finish it.
You know what? I understand that. There's like stupid games and stuff like that that like absolutely freaked me out and I could not play. But no, something like that. What was those stupid comics that you would see? Like not Ghostbusters or Goonies? No, it would have like the slime looking letterings on the side of it.
Oh, Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. Yeah. We
Those are
watched
books.
we had that one movie. They made a bunch of them, but we had one, and it creeped me the fuck out. Like I would cry because I was just terrified of it, and man, now I'm over here. I have a haunted doll in the next room. I play with the paranormal all the time, and it's like, hey. But back then I was like, the idea goes in my closet, can't do it. Little gremlin down the basement, can't do it. It was just, man, dude, this looks interesting.
Hmm.
This
I
looks
wouldn't. I mean, I don't know if anyone's attempted another game like this more recently, but I just think with all of the advancements and with like a VR haunted mini putt, I'd be
Mhm.
down bad for that. That would be freaky, but it would be a good time.
Oh, I agree. I think it'll be a blast. Um, but okay, so we'll cut a lot of that out of just us watching footage. But okay,
No promises.
that's fair. So that's kind of the show. That's we're back. We're back to your regular scheduled show with shorts and the shorter clips of stuff. It's gonna be fun. You have a ton of things to look forward to, like Timu. We get to do video now of AI. I can't wait to see what we're gonna play on Pornhub. Cornhub, corn. It's all corn. I can't wait to see what we're gonna play then. Uh, I'm terrified because I don't know how much of that episode is going to get blurred out. You guys will find out. But we have a ton of fun stuff we're going to do, and especially it's getting close to that Halloween spooky time. Spooky time. I do want our next episode to be filmed in costumes. I say that, and I'm the one that needs to really make sure I have a costume around because I bet you guys at least have something you could throw on and say, "Hey, I'm Derek from Grey's Anatomy." You could do something. I'll be like,
I have a
"Hey."
fallback.
Hmm?
Yeah, I've got my fallback.
Okay. Charles, you have a Halloween costume?
I don't know. I'll have to probably buy a new freaking skull ball cover, like the one that's my profile pic on YouTube.
Okay. Then Charles will go as a man not allowed in schools. So until then, that's all we got for you guys. Make sure to just leave a like. That's all we ask. Just leave a like. Let us know you
Hey,
enjoyed
leave
it.
a like and leave the video on. Even if you're not going to watch the rest of the thing, whatever. Just let it run all the way through to the end and go do something else. Open up another tab.
Yeah, just put us on another tab. Just let this play out. Let it go to black. Let it fade and let it play the next thing. Probably. What's your next tab about to play? Joseph?
I don't have another tab. This is it.
Well, no, you the next video that's gonna end up playing through. Let's use that as reference. So if your video is about to go to the end, what's the next video that's gonna play after this?
Man, you got me stumped on this one. I don't know how. I didn't understand what you meant.
Oh, you know,
Massage.
like when you let the video finish, like where it's telling our
gotcha.
people to.
Gotcha.
That's what I was saying. Like, what's gonna play?
Let's find out.
So let's say you guys let it all fade to black, let our voices just slowly get out in the background. You could end up watching Gone Too Far.
Bethesda's future cannot be saved. The Joker movie again. Hell's Kitchen again.
Hell's Kitchen. You
Something
could
I'm
end up
writing.
watching Hell's Kitchen in your background. Just saying.
Opening $93,000 $19.99 Pokemon base sets.
Could be a good
Man,
video.
runner.
Okay, guys, while we watch this, leave a like, have fun, and stay safe out there. And if you're in the hurricane, run. Goodbye, everybody.
We're back, baby.
And you're threatening people with weapons again. We talked about this last season, man. We can't keep threatening people.
You can only threaten people with a good time.
You want America. Dude, do you think if you asked, they would let you bring a gun back to Canada?
No.
Damn, bro. I don't know how I can stop the recording. I've been trying to hit this stop